Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into this idea of Binah.
Binah, really?
Yeah, and we're going to be pulling all this from my Kabbalah.
Okay, cool.
So my Kabbalah, it's this whole system, right?
Oh, yeah, cool.
Of like mystical knowledge. I don't know, is it philosophical? Is it?
It's kind of both, right? Like, it's definitely got this mystical vibe,
Yeah.
but there's also, like, a philosophical structure to it.
Yeah.
You know, like a system of understanding the universe and stuff.
Right. And Binah is like this key component.
Oh, yeah, totally key.
And it's so interesting. Like, just from what I've seen so far, it's got all these connections to the Great Mother, negative forces of the stars, crimson. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah, there really is. Like, where do you even begin with all that?
Right. So, like, where does Binah actually fit into all of this?
Well, in my Kabbalah, Binah is the third of these things called Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
Yeah. And you can think of them like building blocks of this whole system. And each one kind of has its own meaning and its own role to play, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a reason why there's like 10 of them or however many there are.
Right, exactly. So Binah is the third one.
Okay.
And it's part of what's called the supernal triangle.
Supernal triangle.
Uh-huh. And the way they visualize this whole system is like a person.
Okay.
And Binah is positioned on the right side of the face.
On the right side.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like the right side?
Well, I mean, just thinking about it, the right side is often like associated with, the more, I don't know, dominant side for a lot of people, like the active side.
Yeah, like in a lot of systems, the right side represents like a more active or assertive force.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for Binah, right?
Totally. And my Kabbalah, it actually really emphasizes that Binah is the first, like, feminine energy that we encounter in this whole system.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first two, I mean, I don't even fully understand those.
Well, they cut there.
Yeah, but Binah is like this shift, right?
It's a big shift.
And it's something different. And the book even connects her to, like, yin from Taoism.
Yes. That's such a good point. Like, that's a really helpful connection to make, I think. Because yin is this principle.
Like, for people who don't know, what's yin?
Yin is like this feminine energy, right? It's often linked to like receptivity, darkness.
Darkness.
Yeah. It's not, darkness in a bad way.
Right.
But it's that like kind of receptive, nurturing.
Yeah, more passive, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then when my Kabbalah talks about Binah and these negative forces, like, it's not bad, right?
No, exactly. That's a really important point.
Okay.
Because I think when people hear negative, they immediately think like evil or like, something bad. But in this context, it's not that at all.
It's more about balance then.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the necessary opposite to the positive. Like, you can't have light without darkness.
Right. You can't have creation without some kind of like void or emptiness to create from. Interesting. And it mentions too, like, Binah is connected to the number 3.
Yeah.
And like the number 3, it's all about birth, but also mourning.
That's heavy.
Yeah. It's a pretty heavy duality to kind of wrap your head around.
It is. It makes you think about like the cycles.
Yeah.
Like the cycles of life, the cycles of the universe, maybe.
Oh, totally. And that's interesting because it does specifically connect Binah to the constant birth and death of the universe.
Right.
Like these huge cosmic processes of creation and destruction.
It's like she's a part of this endless cycle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty intense. And then on top of that, like when we talk about creation, it explains how Binah like receives this energy from Chokmah, right? The second element.
The second Sephira, yeah.
Yeah. And it uses this like male energy to create.
Interesting.
So it's almost like she's this like essential starting point.
Yes. And that's what's so fascinating about her role in all of this. It's like she's not just creating things. Yeah.
She's at the very beginning of creation.
Okay.
Like taking this raw energy, whatever that is, and shaping it into something new.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, we're seeing how Binah is this incredibly powerful, creative, feminine energy.
Yeah.
But then my Kabbalah also talks about how she leads this pillar of severity.
Ooh, yeah.
And that sounds kind of intense, doesn't it? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's where it gets even more interesting, I think. Because severity here, it's not about being like harsh or punishing or anything like that. It's more about like boundaries. Yes, exactly. Like structure, setting limits.
Okay.
And again, it goes back to that idea of balance.
Right.
It's like Binah connects to both Chokmah above and Geburah below.
Geburah.
Okay. And so it's almost like you can imagine her as this mediating figure, like making sure that things don't swing too far in one direction or the other. So she's like this, like, cosmic architect almost.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Like she's shaping the universe, but she's also making sure that everything stays in order.
Exactly. Like she establishes the rules and the framework within which creation can even happen.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So like just to sum it all up, right? Binah is this powerful feminine force, fundamental to creation, balance.
Absolutely.
She's got all these like symbolic ties to birth, death, these vast cosmic processes.
Yeah.
And she's just all about like keeping things in order.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot, but it's also super fascinating.
Right. Like it makes you want to keep digging deeper.
Totally. So as people are digging deeper into my Kabbalah, remember that Binah completes the supernal triangle.
Oh, that's right.
What do you think, like, what might that triangle represent as a whole?
Like as a unit?
Yeah, within this whole system.
Yeah, that's a good question. And what about those 32 paths it mentions?
Oh, yeah, those are interesting.
Right. Like how do those connect to Dinah?
Yeah, and I think, like, the biggest takeaway for people should be, like, how can you apply this to your own life?
That's always the question, right?
Yeah. Where do you see creation, destruction, balance, like, playing out?
Yeah, in your everyday life.
That's a great takeaway.
Right. So hopefully this has given everyone a good starting point.
Yeah, a good foundation.
Yeah, to understanding Binah.
Definitely.
But, I mean, we've just scratched the surface.
We've only just begun.
Yeah, so keep diving deeper. Who knows what other insights you might find.
I can't wait to find out.
Me neither.